A soldier beating a woman. This happened in Beere, I think that's in Ibadan, Oyo State. They beat the woman up for what they describe as indecent dressing. Also, they cut the hair of some passers-by after allegedly harassing and extorting them. Now, all this is coming just barely a week after we all had the old issue with the SARS protest, the protest that was geared majorly towards the end to police brutality. But first, let's go take a look at this video.
That is SARS style.
So kí ló ṣẹlẹ̀ sí ń sìn ní Beere nísinsìnyí.
Tàbí mọ̀ pé ẹni Beere nísinsìnyí pẹ̀lú àwọn yòókù mi. Wọ́n dá adó lórí ọ̀kadà. Àwọn sọ́jà tàbá ń bẹ̀. Wọ́n ní kí ká bọ́lẹ̀ ká wọ amọ̀dẹ̀ bọ́lẹ̀ wọn lọ bá wọn. Bẹ̀rẹ̀ ògbé kí ló lẹ̀ pàmì àti ọmọ ìkàdé nǹkan pàmì àti ọmọ ìbéèrè mi kì í ṣe àwọn ìdẹ̀ kì í ṣe anything lé pé wíyá bá kẹtẹ́ tó àpèmí àti wọn pọ̀. Wọ́n dẹ̀ bàdà lọ́wọ́ mi. Adẹ̀sí ń bi pé yá bá fa wàhálà àwọn kan lọ́wọ́ ni. Bẹ́ẹ̀ ni kí n sí káàmù dẹ̀ sí káàpù fún wọn. Kòbókò tó máa gbélé mi báyìí mo bá wò pé àkí ni mo ṣe ó lè ní dídà ó kàn bẹ̀rẹ̀ ni ó ní accident díẹ̀ ó ní àkí ọ̀gá what am I do for you ó ní kí ló kẹ́yìn kí ló sit down ìkẹ́ni máa kẹ́yìn kó kàn mú ṣọ́ọ̀ṣì jáde látàkù tó yẹ kí ṣọ́ọ̀ṣì bọ̀ ọ́nú orí mi nìyẹn lẹ́yìn kí mo fà á lẹ́yìn kí mo wá mo ṣe hàn kan wọn bá ní sìn lọ́wọ́ mi nítorí wá fọ́ọ̀nì sí mi ojú pé wọ́n bá ṣe ohun tó náwó àtán wọ́n ní ká máa mú o pé o bá bàtà.
Yesterday on social media, and that happened in Beere, Ibadan, in Oyo State. Gentlemen, I don't, maybe you can put some perspective to this for me, you know, like a soldier flogging people for what they call indecent dressing. And I went to check if that is within, you know, the core mandate or the core responsibilities of an average Nigerian soldier.
Where do they get that authority from? But as far as I can see, what the lady, there's nothing indecent about the lady's outfit. I didn't see anything hanging out or dropping loose. I mean, the lady is modestly dressed. So flogging her about indecent dressing is completely wrong to start with. But the question is...
Even if she wasn't, you know, yes, decently dressed.
But the point is this. It's been happening over the years. Fela, who died more than nearly 30 years ago, sang about police brutality, military brutality. The question is, what do their commanders say or do when they see their men doing this? Evidently, their commanders approve of this lawlessness, approve of this brutality, or it could not have continued over the years. It was part of what the protesters were protesting. And the powers that be kicked against the protesters, fired at them, which means the powers that be, the ruling elite, is comfortable with the status quo. They are comfortable with the police, be it SARS, be it the military, brutalizing the masses for no reason. So then you wonder, this sadism, this delight, this pleasure in seeing people beaten up, dehumanized, brutalized, where does it come from? Because in those days of apartheid, like I said, Nigeria joined the war against apartheid in South Africa. But then there's apartheid in Nigeria. And there's no evidence that the South African form of apartheid was more brutal, more inhumane than the Nigerian rendition of it. It was that in South Africa it was white versus black, but in Nigeria it's black on black, the difference being social class. So in South Africa it was race, here is social class. But this has continued for so long, and the leaders condone it, the military commanders condone it. And there should be, I think, we talk about the protest. The first part of the protest was peaceful. The second part was a rampage. But either way, the protesters and the hoodlums, as we call them, are saying the same thing. The message is the same. We are tired. We are sick of this unjust system. This system is wicked. This system is insensitive. This system is comfort of the ever-increasing plight of the Nigerian masses. And they better hit that voice. They have to listen to that voice, recognize it, respect it, and attend to it, or their struggle for this country in future. Because this nonsense cannot continue. People are tired. So you can displace the protesters, the peaceful ones, shoot at them, and then the looters, you round them up that they are looting. But like I wrote on Facebook, our leaders are looters. The ruling elite are looters. They loot public funds. What then gives you the moral authority to punish these other looters you're going after? But there must be a change in the system, or I don't know what to say.
Chief Officer, just barely days after the protest, on police brutality, now we're having the military, show their own side of brutality.
Military has always been like this in Nigeria. Sometimes ago in 2018, at somewhere in Ijai, a guy wore a military cap, a cap, and this guy was dealt with. And I asked myself, for what reason? For whatever reason, these guys that are doing these things, pick them up today and say you are going to Oyo State. They will all run away. They will all run away. What gives a military person the mandate to know who is dressing decently or indecently? What business of yours is it to the person that put on the clothes? Is he within your function to regulate dressing in Nigeria? Is it also your function to identify those who are Yahoo boys by looking at them? Because there must be. I keep asking myself, how did we get to these points? Now, this is the same thing that police were doing. Now, military owned, and I'm so ashamed of the people of those villages. I need to say this. I'm so ashamed. Some of them were raising their own up. For what reason? Those guys could not be up to about 20. If entire village come and say, this is enough, they cannot shoot them. Instead, they will run away. Why would you guys lift your hand up? In what? What did the lady do? Did he come to your barrack and steal? Did he offend you in any way? Whatever way it must have been, there is a procedure to deal with such people. Why would you sit down, dehumanize a woman like that? Put a woman down. In school, when we're in secondary school, when we're in primary school, when we're going to school, if you come late for a woman, no teacher will flog you by your buttocks. They will ask you to raise your hand up, and they will flog you by your hand. But boys will receive their own cane from the buttocks. Why would you sit a woman, a grown-up woman like that, and be flogging that woman forever? You have dehumanized that woman. The self-esteem has flown out of the window. Nothing that woman can ever stand up to do.
And then the other guy, you cut his hair under suspicion that he might be a Yahoo boy. So how does cutting his hair, how does that check anything?
Get to the bottom of this. Not just a court martial, not just some mere punishment. They must be paraded in that community, filmed. They must be made to go to those people's houses and apologize personally to them, filmed, and put it on TV. Because this thing must stop. You don't have any right to do this. Those people, if they are married, I guess, let me just say they are married, and their wives are treated like that.
Their daughters.
Or their daughters are treated like that. How would they feel?
The big question out there on social media is, how does what I wear, what I put on, or the haircuts I'm spotting, how does that constitute a threat to national unity. How does that constitute a threat, really, to the peace and the well-being of fellow citizens of Nigeria? That's a question out there.
If I need to mention this, military guys are the one hanging around, are the one encouraging young girls in prostitution. They are the one hanging around those people in the night.
But the thing is this consistent, what's the rationale for this consistent deployment of the military in civilian centers in a democracy? It's uncalled for.
Maybe there's a barrack close to that. I may not understand that.
It's an aberration. Yeah, if there's a barrack, operate your militarism in your barracks, not outside the military. Even if people commit an offense, you hand them over to the police, not to
it's
the
not
military.
your duty.
It's not their purview in any way
your duty
to deal with the civilians. They are to protect the territorial integrity of Nigeria, which they have done a terrible job at. Or Boko Haram will not continue to be in existence. The Americans came the other day to rescue an American. How many Nigerians have the military rescued? A bunch of never-do-well men and women, but they just vent their anger, their arrogance on the masses. But their commanders, the leaders of this country, want it that way. That's why it has remained the way it is.
Let's read some messages. Cosmas Undubeze from Ikeja says, we are talking of the police, now the army. May God help us. Thank you. Thank you, Cosmas, for your contribution. Also, this one says, good afternoon, patients. I really believe everyone knows about COVID-19. We Nigerians only want to believe what we want to believe. To be honest with you, anything that doesn't concern money does not interest the average man in our country. The government did not inform us about the recent protest, yet the whole country was involved. COVID is real. Davis from Dolphin sent that one in. All right, Bola from Ojodu says the issue of undisciplined soldiers trying to discipline citizens. I think some soldiers are even more worse in their rule of engagement when dealing with the citizen. Moreover, army are not trained to relate with citizens. Why bringing them closer to the citizens? I pray our government will wake up to their responsibilities.